Hello and welcome to Favorite Rugby on Forever Sports. And some breaking news. The match officials for the June-July internationals have officially been confirmed, which means we know exactly who will be taking charge of the Springbok games against Wales, Ireland, and Portugal. And some very interesting appointments and a historic appointment as well coming in the Portugal clash with the first ever women's referee set to take charge of a Springbok clash. And I'm actually very excited about the appointment itself. Now, before we go through sort of the list and look at some of the appointments, stuff like that, please do smash the like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Right, so obviously our first game of the year is against Wales. And that's taking place on the 22nd of June over at Twickenham. And the referee in charge will be Chris Busby from the IRFU. And he'll be assisted by Christopher Ridley and Adam Leal, also who are from the RFU. Mark Patton from the RFU will be the TMO. So, Chris Busby, not somebody that I think the Box fans know too well. I think if we look at the other officials, probably somebody they'll know a bit more about. But he's been around the block, has Chris Busby. He's probably one of the next sort of generation. And I think last year was his first World Cup, and he's sort of very much sort of one of the big up and coming referees through the system. If we look at the next big match, this is the big one we've been waiting for, isn't it? SA versus Ireland. These two tests are probably the two tests of the year, really. Look, not that I really, I think match officials, I think sometimes we pay far too much attention to match officials, and I think we get too bogged down in it. But it's always interesting to see, because certain officials officiate in certain ways, and in the fact that South Africa have actually appointed, Jaco Paper as a sort of specialist in learning how to deal with officials and how to sort of interpret laws and stuff like that. Studying officials is becoming a part of the game. So you can't ignore the appointment and looking at who's going to be taking charge of the whistle. So the first game, which will take place at Loftus on the 6th of July, will be refereed by Angus Gardner from Rugby Australia. He'll be assisted by Carl Dickson and Mike Adamson. Ben Whitehouse will be the TMO. So lots of different unions involved there. Angus Gardner from Australia, Carl Dickson from the UK, Mike Adamson from the Scottish Rugby Union, and Ben Whitehouse from the Welsh Rugby Union. The second test between the two sides will be officiated by Carl Dickson. Angus Gardner will then drop down to the assistant referee number 1, so he'll be a touchline ref alongside the likes of Craig Evans, and Ian Tempest will be the TMO. For me, the most exciting appointment, though, is South Africa versus Portugal, which will be officiated by Holly Davidson of the Scottish Rugby Union. Now, if you've been watching the URC the last few years, she has been absolutely world-class. Her communication is phenomenal. She communicates really, really well. I think she lets the game flow quite nicely. But for me, one of the biggest things comes to the communication. Referees that can clearly communicate and that are consistent. And I've always felt whenever I've watched her officiate that's what she gets right. She communicates very clearly to the players, and she's pretty consistent with the calls she makes. Obviously, no referee's perfect, and some referees will make mistakes, but it's about consistency, isn't it? It's about officiating the same things during the game, that you're penalizing one team for the same thing that you're penalizing the other team. And I've always found that she's very good in that. And I think it's been a matter of time before she's going to get the sort of call-up. So it's exciting to see that, and good to see, especially when you think of somebody like an Amy Barrett-Sharon, who's, for me, a very big up-and-coming referee for South Africa. To see Holly Davidson be involved in the Springbok clash, I can't wait to see Amy Barrett-Sharon, refereeing a big international clash. She'll be assisted, by the way, by Craig Evans and Mike Adamson. Andrew McNenemy will be the referee in the TMO. In terms of our sort of South African referees getting in and around the park, Quinton Immelman will be involved as the TMO across a couple of games, and he's been around the block, hasn't he? So if we look at our sorry referees, by the way, Amy Barrett-Sharon not involved in the senior internationals, but will be involved in the Under-20 Rugby Championship, which is good to see. So if we see the Saru representatives, Marius van der Westhuizen will be in the TMO box, as well as Quinton Immelman, and then Griffin Colby will be on the touchline referees for, I think it's Namibia versus Portugal, and as well as, I think somebody else, who am I missing here? There's one more guy, Adrian Jacobs, is going to be involved in that Namibia versus Portugal game as well. So plenty of representation from the SRU, although I think we do need to really sort of start pushing our referees, and hopefully we'll see a few more coming through. I do think Amy Barrett-Turan is one of the best that we do have coming through, and hopefully she continues her journey. But let me know what you think of the appointments. Angus Gardner is probably the big one that people might sort of be a bit nervous about. We've had some interesting ones with him before, interesting clashes. I would not have much of an issue with Angus Gardner. And then Carl Dixon, the second official for that Ireland game. Those two games, so important. Those two officials will be really looking at those games thinking that's going to be a big opportunity for them to show their worth. And hopefully we won't be talking about them because that means they would have done a good job. Let me know what you think about the appointments down in the comments below. Please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve. I'll chat to you soon.